Thanks for joining us on the John Mendola Show. We're driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Let's talk Montrose Track and Field. Joining us is the head coach, Sean Castellani. Well, Sean, a nice program you've built there at Montrose for the Meteors. Let's first talk about your girls' team. Tell us who you have in some of the sprinting events this year.
Well, John, it's a pleasure for having me back on the show again. Starting off with our girls' team, we're kind of building off a good core group of girls that we've had for the past 4 years that are now all seniors. So leading us off will be part of our sprinters group would be Myra Lattimore. She's coming back off a solid season last year as a junior. She's reigning District 2 champion in 200-meter dash. And she's been posting some very good times this year so far, and even her 100. And she's also one of the cogs in both our relays, our 4x1 and our 4x400 relay. And another, again, senior is Allison Lewis, and she's also coming off a phenomenal junior season, also the reigning district champ in the 400-meter dash. So she's also expected to do some very good things for us this year, and has already posted a time that has already broken into the sub 1 minute category. East Stroudsburg University this past week, she went at a time of 59.9, so she's already down under and is ahead from last year at this point. So we're expecting, for her time to keep tumbling down.
And, Sean, as we move along to some of the mid-distance and distance girls at Montrose, how about some of the young ladies that are posting some solid times this year?
Well, returning from it last year in some of the distance races is Samantha Benici. She, unfortunately, we've been bouncing her around a little bit, so we haven't really had the great weather yet to post potential times that can rival anybody yet in the district. However, she's doing a phenomenal job and working real hard for us. And another distance runner for us at this time, she was a sophomore last year and was a junior this year, and she's finally breaking into the higher 5 minutes in the mile for the first time in her career, and that's Emma Washoe. So, with those two in the distance races, and even Samantha, coming down and helping us in our 4x4 relay with the mid-distance crew that we have, we're putting together a pretty good core group of girls.
Sean Castellani here on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. How about as we head over to some of the field events and some of the jumps this year for the Lady Meteors?
Well, we had an unfortunate thing happen, and you know how it works. You always battle with injuries, and sometimes you battle the war of attrition there. And we had an unfortunate thing happen this year in the soccer season. Our all-regional jumper and silver medal winner last year in the high jump, Madeline Pastique, had a torn ACL. So she's been rehabbing it and coming back. She was able to jump in a couple meets, but we kind of want to take it easy with her. She's very eager to come back in the jumps, but being a person of torn ACL, I try to explain to her from my own experiences that you have to take it very slowly and take it with caution, but realize that you're trying to build the muscle back, and it's going to take a little while for it to come back. So she's doing a fantastic job for us, and she's hitting all, exceeding expectations of where she should even be at right now with that type of an injury and recovering from it. So some of our other jumpers, we have Rebecca Tim in the pole vault, and we're actually having actually a core group of pole vaulters. I always say I have probably the best pole vault coach in the area with Ken Miller, and he always seems to put together a group of kids in the pole vault and gets the most out of them. And for this year, Rebecca Tim, who is another one of our seniors, very good athlete, has come a long way in the hurdles, especially the 300 hurdles. She took third in the district last year, and she's putting together a very, very good repertoire in her pole vault with what she was able to do a little bit in the indoor season this winter, and then really building off that into the spring season. She was able to already clear over 8 feet. So we're expecting her, and Coach Miller always has high expectations for his kids. He's hoping that she could get over 9 and possibly even 9.6 by the time district comes around. But we have 2 other girls that are starting to emerge too, and that is sophomore Emma Griffith. She was pole vaulting first last year, and she's coming along pretty nice as well. And a new one we just found within the last month, Hannah Deek. She was also one of our triple jumpers and long jumpers from last year. She took sixth in the district last year, and she converted a little bit over to a pole vault. She's still working on her jumps, but she's really building strong with the other two jumpers. They're pushing each other in practice, and he said the competition itself, just within practice alone, is really pushing them to higher levels.
We're talking with Sean Castellani here on the John Mendola Show, driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Well, Sean, as we go from the lady side over to the guy side, tell us about some of the guys that you have. We'll start in the field events there for Montrose.
In the field events, we lost a very good thrower from last season, and we really had a strong group of throwers in our senior class last year with John Lawson. John's now at Penn State, and he was reigning district champion in the javelin. We also had a senior last year, Navigator Giovanni. He's gone too. So trying to fill their shoes isn't exactly the easiest type of thing to do, because John was also strong in the discus, finishing second in the discus with a throw of 147 feet. It just missed that state qualifying mark by an inch, but came back in the javelin at districts and took that. So trying to replace that type of caliber of thrower is not really the easiest thing to do, but we have pretty good senior leadership coming from our junior last year, who was kind of overshadowed a little bit by a lot of John's successes and was kind of a dark horse and actually finished seventh at districts was in the discus, was Brenton Warner. And Brenton's coming along for us fairly well. He had a little bit of a slow start, but I think all of us have this year with the track season and the weather we've had. And if you're in Wilkes-Barre, John, and it's 57, just know that it's 47 where I'm at in Montrose. So the weather hasn't really been the most kind to anybody in northeastern Pennsylvania. But we're dealing with it, and you take those days that you have bad weather, and our throwers are doing a pretty good job indoors, working on technique, working on a lot of the aspects that they can really build off of before going outside and just trying to throw it as hard as you can, which a lot of people think that's what the throws are, but they're very, very extremely technical, and getting kids to be patient and understanding to in the discus slow down in the circle, and pretty much connect the dots, as our throws coach talks about. Tom Sile and last year Eric Powers really got our kids going with trying to emphasize all the aspects of the throws, and it really worked out for the kids a lot. But unfortunately, there's nothing better than experience in meets, and unfortunately, we haven't had the greatest weather at this point in time, as I pointed out before. But Brenton's coming along for us fairly well, and we even have some freshmen that are even coming along pretty well. We have a freshman, Colin Mon. He's actually our second best thrower on the team right now. He's already eclipsed 110 feet, and we're expecting some good things coming from him. And in the javelin, along with Brenton, we have another junior coming in, Jacob Hayes. He's actually getting to the in and around the 130 mark. So hopefully, with a little bit nicer weather and more experience in the meets outside, and hopefully we could build on that and get him into the 140s and possibly 150s by the end of the season, which would be a nice change.
Well, as the throwers and the jumpers are working hard, let's head over to the mid-distance and distance guys. Tell us about some of the guys you have in those events. Well,
in those events, again, we got hit hard by graduation last year, but I'll tell you what, we had to pull up some freshmen, and we weren't sure, should we pull them up, should we leave them down in junior high? But I'll tell you what, they're doing really an exceptional job for us. And we had a sophomore in the sprint last year that started to come along pretty well, and his name is Mike Stewart. He's a 10th grader at the school, and he's doing pretty well for us in the 200. He's a 400 runner. He doesn't realize it yet, but in the regular meets to score points, we put him in the 100 and 200. He's doing pretty well with those, but he's a true 400 runner. And unfortunately, a lot of kids, in high school, they think, they're running fast times, 11.3, 11.4 on the 100-meter dash, and what they don't realize is that translates into you're a 400 runner.
Sean, we move along over to the sprinting events for you, whether it's the hurdles or the 100 or the 200. Tell us about who's running well so far this year, and, of course, who you hope could possibly make a shine at districts and grab some medal there for the Meteors.
Well, the hurdles is going to be very competitive this year. If you look back last year at the District 2 championships, I mean, you have the top hurdlers coming back. You have a kid from Northwest and Tyler Berger, and you have the O'Donnell kid from Lakeland. So it's going to be very competitive. So for us to break in, that would be huge in the hurdles. And we have 2 juniors coming in that have shown a lot of progress, a lot of promise, and their time's coming down. And then as we get into the meat of the season here with a lot of the invitationals coming up this Friday, we're going to be at Wyalusing. I'm expecting, a lot to come from Billy Hughes and Steven Shelp. They're 2 of my junior hurdlers, and they really have come a long way. Hughes has each meet been, just chipping away at his time and, really expanding on his form and working those fine little details, and really pulling his foot through and continuing on to the next hurdle, and trying to get him 3-step. That's a task in itself. But he's doing a great job. First, he's working really hard. He's lifting hard in the weight room on our lift days, and it really shows in his time that's coming down. He's already breaking into the 16s. So hopefully keep this momentum going into districts, and maybe make a nice little run and push these other guys that are at the top right now.
Sean Castellani, Montrose Track and Field is what we're talking about here on the John Mendola Show. We are driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers. Well, Sean, districts will be here before you know it, and of course states, and I'm sure you're looking forward to some great competition. Everybody hoping the weather gets a little bit better, but before you know it, it'll be 80 degrees, and the kids will be running in some hot weather.
Yeah, as they say with track season, it's here and gone before you know it, and it really shows this year with how bad the weather is. And like you said, John, once the weather breaks, the season's going to be over, it seems.
Well, Sean, we appreciate your time and joining us here on the show. We wish you the best of luck and look forward to seeing you and your team at districts.
Okay, thank you very much for having me, John.
Montrose Track and Field, boys and girls, here on the John Mendola Show, driven by McCarthy Tire and Automotive Centers.